The Pokémon Direct has come and gone, bringing with it huge news regarding Pokémon Sword and Shield. Rather than create a third version of the game, Game Freak is instead creating expansion DLC in the form of the Isle of Armor and the Crown Tundra, two new areas in the Galar region that will introduce new gameplay, new characters, new legendaries, and more returning Pokémon. With so much new, it's time to bring out the old analysis machine to see what secrets and hidden details are awaiting within this Direct. Let's get right to it. And we'll begin with the returning Pokémon. According to Game Freak, there will be over 200 Pokémon coming via the expansions. We'd assume that the Isle of Armor would feature the first 100, while the Crown Tundra covered the rest. And the Direct gave a pretty decent idea of which Pokémon shown would appear in what expansion. Talonflame is the first to make an appearance even before the expansions were revealed. However, we can clearly see Talonflame in the Isle of Armor artwork, indicating that this is when we'll get its line. Otherwise, we can be pretty confident that Volcarona, the Kingdra line, the Dene, and the Lycanroc line will also come with the Isle of Armor, as they could be seen during that segment. The Isle of Armor will introduce Gigantamax forms for the Galarian starters as well. Rillaboom's drum becomes an entire set, while its hair grows incredibly long and wields more drumsticks. Cinderace's ears become longer while it confidently stands atop a giant fireball. And Inteleon's tail extends to create a sniper nest. It even has a water gun that it forms with its fingers. Curiously, all three of these Gigantamax forms have barely grown when compared to other Gigantamax Pokémon. Meanwhile, it looks as if the Crown Tundra will introduce the Aurorus, Nidorino, Celio, and Garchomp lines, as this segment is when they appear. However, what's a little trickier is when Venusaur and Blastoise will be included in the games. The Gigantamax forms of both are shown, but not during a specific segment. It's difficult to say for sure which one it'll be, but the forms themselves are pretty great. Venusaur's petals come down around its body to form a kind of hat, while Blastoise's shell becomes a fortress lined with cannons. The only other non-legendary Pokémon we see introduced for the expansions is Galarian Slowpoke, and it's already been included in the game thanks to a new update. However, it can't evolve yet. The Direct states that a special item from the Isle of Armor is needed to evolve it into Slowbro, while a different item from the Crown Tundra is required for it to evolve into Slowking. Neither is fully shown, but we do get several glimpses. The only time we see Slowbro is early on in a blurry shot, but this has to be Slowbro as there's no crown and its tail is covered. And it's not Slowpoke as its head and arms are colored purple. We know Galarian Slowpoke is a pure psychic type, so we wonder if the purple coloring means whatever attached to Galarian Slowbro's tail will make it a psychic poison type. Well, that's the thing. There's nothing attached to Slowbro's tail. A later scene in the Direct clearly shows it, and Slowbro still has the purple coloring. And this can't be Slowking, as you'll soon see. So that certainly makes it quite different from the normal Slowbro. Unfortunately, our short look at Galarian Slowking never really shows its head, but we can see some of the differences thanks to its bottom half, and it appears to be wearing a kind of black cape while dark eyes peer from the side of its head. That doesn't look like a Shelter, so maybe another Pokemon chomped on its head in Galar? And based on the cape, we get the feeling it may end up being a Psychic and Dark type. It's certainly a mystery for now. Now that we've seen our non-legendary Pokémon, let's see what the Isle of Armor has in store for players. One of the biggest focal points is the dojo run by new character, Mustard, who was the mentor of Leon and even a champion himself. His dojo looks to be huge as concept art gave a sense of the size in comparison to the trainer. We never see its interior, but this isn't the only building on the Isle. There are two towers as well, one red and the other blue. The concept art for them can also be seen with what we believe to be the interiors at the bottom left, so they might literally be battle towers, but perhaps not in the way Pokemon fans are used to. Maybe there's some new twist this time around? At first we thought these two towers were going to be version exclusive, with blue appearing in Sword and red in Shield. However, the artwork of the Isle of Armor clearly shows both towers, so how will they be different? Well, we don't really know, but they're definitely important. The Direct then provided in-game looks at some of the locations, including the dojo, a watery cave to explore, coming out of another cave to see the center island from the expansion artwork, and a look at the blue tower at the beach, where a lone tree on an island can be seen in the distance. Concept art of this tree is later shown, but we don't know why it's important. It's shaped like a snowflake and the central tree is emitting a red aura. What could this place possibly be? Beyond Mentor Mustard, there is another character to meet on the Isle depending on your version. In Sword, it'll be the Poison Trainer Clara, while Shield features the Psychic Trainer Avery. At first, we wondered if they might be other gym leaders looking for training when their gyms didn't make the rotation for the game's league, since they are wearing the uniforms. But that might not be the case, as the Direct states that they want a gym and stadium to call their own. So that could mean that they are gym leaders, but it's also possible that they're simply normal trainers that originated from those gyms looking for something more. But with how unique their designs are, we really think it'll be the former. In addition to all this, the Isle of Armor expansion will feature move tutors, apricorns to create some of the Pokeballs that the ball guy hands out, and an experience charm to earn more experience for your team. And this makes sense considering the theme of the expansion is growth, so the focus seems to be on training up your team. In contrast, the focus of the Crown Tundra's expansion is exploration, and that seems emphasized with its new character, who we don't even have a name for. He has to be some kind of explorer though, as he appoints your trainer as the leader of an exploration team. His helmet depicts some kind of new symbol, which we see part of at the bottom left, and in full on the trainer's own helmet. Still, we don't exactly know what it means other than him potentially running some kind of exploration business. As the Tundra expansion is farther away, there's less to actually see of it, but there are a few things to note. For one, we see the train station that brings the trainer to the Tundra, and the new update for Sword and Shield confirms that this is how players will access the new areas. We also see that it's not just snowy mountains that can be traversed, but the lower altitudes do feature grassy plains and even a decrepit graveyard. Thankfully, it won't be nothing but snow. There are ruins to explore and even the interiors of Pokemon dens. And that's where the new multiplayer mode will come in, as it appears that up to 4 players can team up to challenge these dens, with a battle against a Pokemon at the end serving as a reward. It's more of an actual raid than just a raid battle, and these multiplayer dens are likely where the returning legendaries come into play. We see examples from each generation as they fly by, which you likely caught yourself, but the wide shot shows even more. We can see Latias, Latios, Cresselia, Giratina, Heatran, Kyurem, and Necrozma. There's a lot of legendaries to catch, but these are only the simple ones. The Tundra expansion seems to be doing quite a bit more with certain legendary groups. For example, as the Direct is showing the Tundra, we see images of Regice, Regirock, and Registeel. Each one has concept art of the ruined temple near it, and at the top are designs that match their eyes. So these temples are specifically meant for the Regis, and we even see what could be the arena in which they're fought. It's then that we get a look at another temple that's split down the middle between yellow and red. At first we thought this could indicate version exclusivity, but nope, even in the game that's how the temple looks, and it likely houses 2 brand new Regis. The first we see is an electric type, and it's apparently a huge fan of GameXplain, as its eyes are arranged much like our logo. We don't have a name for it, but we'd guess it'd be something like Regivolt. The other new Regi is absolutely a dragon type, as the head of a dragon serves as its limbs, making for quite the striking design. We're thinking it's going to be called Regidragon, as the Regis don't exactly have complex names. But it's still really cool to see this line continue, and we're curious what kind of puzzles they'll involve. After all, they're infamous for their Braille puzzle in Ruby and Sapphire. And then there are the legendary birds, which are getting Galarian forms. There's not much information out there, but we think we may have an idea of what their new types are. Galarian Articuno looks to be ice and steel, while Moltres appears to be fire and dark. We weren't sure about Zapdos at first, but when it's shown at a later moment, it's accompanied by impacts, which we believe indicates that it'll be an electric and fighting type. The designs are undoubtedly a lot of fun, but we're more curious about this tree that the 3 surround. It seems huge with giant fruit blossoming despite snow at the top and grass at the bottom. A later piece of concept art shows it from below, but all that's said is that it might be found in a place you'd least expect. Perhaps all 3 nurtured the tree, or something must be done with it to summon the legendary birds? It's certainly a mystery for now. In the meantime, there are still 2 new legendaries to talk about. The first is Kubfu and its evolution Urshifu, which are obtained through the Island of Armor expansion. Kubfu is a fighting-type Pokemon that players will receive from Mentor Mustard, and it'll only evolve once your training with him is complete. However, Urshifu has two forms. The first is Single Strike style, which is a fighting and dark type, while the other is Rapid Strike style, which is a fighting and water type. Which form it evolves into is dependent on the choices the player makes during the Isle of Armor and not related to the version you're playing at all. While the two forms share a new ability called Unseen Fist, we don't know what it actually does. All we do know is that each style Urshifu also has a unique Gigantamax form and a G-Max move. We know much less about the Crown Tundra's legendary Pokémon Calyrex. Its typing is Psychic and Grass, and it has the ability Unnerve. According to the official Pokémon website, every move it makes is graceful, and it's said that Calyrex can see every past, present, and future event. We don't have that ability, so we don't even know if it can Gigantamax, but it's pretty likely all things considered. Game Freak just wasn't ready to show that aspect yet. The final bit of new content that will be added thanks to the expansions are purely stylistic. We have a new primary outfit for both the Isle of Armor and the Crown Tundra, with the Direct even going so far as to show the individual pieces that make them up. In addition, there are plenty of new hairstyles and hair colors, which could allow players to dress up as other characters. In fact, we see the trainer dressed up as both Marnie and Rose, right down to their hair. There's even Leon's hat, along with a more off-road styled bike, and a new bike outfit that includes a full helmet. We think these outfits will be added for the Armor expansion, as that's when they're shown. But the Tundra expansion includes more hairstyles, clothes, and accessories as well, with the notable pieces including a branded uniform like Leon's, and eyewear from Team Flare, and Ghetsis' monocle from Black and White. Some of the t-shirt designs are fun as well, as one shows Ice-Cube with a popsicle, and either Gigantamax Flapple or Appleton. And besides, you know you want to rock that mohawk at some point. While the idea of paying for Pokémon DLC is certainly different, it's at least good to see how much content will actually be there. It may be for you, or it may not, but at least a free update at the expansion pass's release will allow non-pass owners to trade for these new Pokémon. And even without the Pokémon, both areas will be seamless maps like the Wild area, except with much more to do. It seems like another step toward a Pokémon game where the entire world is like the Wild area. We're honestly excited by what's to come. But that's everything we could find in the Pokémon Direct for Sword and Shield's expansions. Of course, let us know if we missed anything in the comments. Thanks for watching, and be sure to subscribe to GameXplain for more on Pokémon and other things gaming.